Hey, what's up guys, it's Zero9 and I'm back with another workflow workshop tutorial. In this episode we're gonna talk about creating a default template for your track ideas. In the recent episodes I've already shown you how you can organize your sample and sound library, how you can use 128s to speed up your workflow and choosing the right sounds. And today I will show you my default template project I'm using every time I'm creating a new track idea. So let's just dive into it. I've already loaded up here. You can see it's named like Studio Template Techno 2020. I'm always also putting the live version, so it's the latest version of Live 10. Which is available right now, and I've created it in December 2020 because I will always name it. So if I'm creating a new version, I will always name it with the date I've created it, so that I knew, okay, this is the version I made at this time and this is the version I made at that time. And I'm always improving it. For example, if I have like new sounds, created new 128s, have new like synth VSDs or whatever, I just keep updating it so that everything is at the latest version. And yeah, just let's start with the drums, or I can quickly show you the routing and the grouping. I've created different groups for my sounds here. I've a drums group, bass, synth sounds, FX sounds, and vocals. So let's start with the drums. Here you can see that I've already created a channel for every kind of sound I'm using inside my project. Of course, you can add new channels later or delete some which you haven't used. But here we have the very basic sounds which are needed for a kind of techno track. So we have a kick, open head, closed head, shaker. We have rides, claps, snares, toms, low high percussion, a crash, and stuff like this. So we already have everything in place which we will need to create our track idea. I've also created for the drums some basic MIDI patterns. For example, just playing a 4 on the floor, a kick pattern, offbeat hi-hat, some 16th closed heads and shakers, or like clap on every second downbeat. And a ride and a crash symbol on the transitions. And you can also see that I have created some scenes here. So I have already told you in my first episode that if you're creating a track, you can kind of create a 2 or 3 minute arrangement just to have an idea how the track could possibly evolve. And that is all already prepared here in my project, so I can quickly play through it so that you get a rough idea how it just sounds like and how it's like kind of arranged. Yeah, so basically it's a kind of like first drop or like intro first drop and then break and second drop. So it's a very basic arrangement which I am doing for my tracks, and it helps if you have created a very basic 8-bar loop with your idea. You can just quickly arrange it to see how it works and how all the elements could evolve throughout the track. So this is really handy. And yeah, basically, as you have seen, I'm using my 128 racks here, so that is very easy for me, so that I have an idea and I need just a different sound. I can very quickly just browse through the sounds I have to find one which matches like mood of the track. Then yeah, I've created the routing is here. I have the drum bus where I have different saturation plugins and sidechain for my all my drum sounds. Then I have my kick sound here, which on both of the the kick channel and the drum bass group will go into the drums group, where I have different processing for my drums. I have some parallel drum compression just to beef it up a little bit. I have a bass compressor here, then some transient shaping and some clipping. And that's for the drums. Then we have the bass group, and then here we have just different bass sounds. We have a sub sound, like a sampled from a Moog synthesizer, Serum here, with just like a kind of respace sound. This is just a more plucky bass sound for like kind of like 16th bass patterns, like a deep fat bass sound. Yeah, just kind of like different bass sounds, so that if I have a specific idea, I have always loaded up like different kind of bass patches, so that I can quickly just copy the MIDI file to the specific channel and get like kind of a sound that I'm looking for. And that's why I've loaded up different sounds so that I can just use the one I need for that project, and I will always replace that later, but just to put it there to draw in the MIDI notes or play the MIDI notes, so that I can just put the idea down, and then later I will edit it and use different sounds or create new ones from scratch. Then we have the synth groups, where I have all my like lead synth sounds and arpeggio sounds, pad sounds, so like kind of in the upper frequency playing stuff. I've loaded up a simple piano here, which I'm not really using in the tracks, but sometimes if you're making melodies, it can be cool to have a piano, because on the piano often it's easier to hear if a melody is really working well, because sometimes the synth sounds are kind of like, especially with like heavy supersaw sounds, they're like, it kind of masks sometimes that the notes are not perfect, so it still sounds good, but if you play it on the piano, you kind of hear it easier or more easily if it sounds if notes are working well together. Then I have just a basic plug sound here, supersaw lead, and here kind of like very like big epi supersaw sound, very soft and like for more melodic techno styles. Acid sound, kind of trancey arpeggio, pad sound. Yeah, so kind of the basic sounds I could probably use for a track idea. So let's say I'm kind of making some more melodic techno, I can use like the soft lead. If I'm making acid track, I already have my acid preset loaded up here. If I make a more trancey like cosmic techno, I've already loaded up supersaws here and the trancey up, and some simple techno shots. Yeah, that's the synth group. So I've already loaded up different synth sounds, which I can use for making my idea. And so I don't have to load up all my VSTs every time I'm making a new idea again and again, because that's boring and time consuming. So I have like kind of prepared everything, so that I probably will find a sound which is useful for that kind of idea I'm making. And afterwards I will delete everything which I will not need and replace the sounds or also the synth VSTs and make some new sounds. Then I have an FX groups, just with some basic effects like uplifter, downlifter, just some effect samples, for example, an impact, some risers, so that I can just look for some samples and place them in there. And I have just here in the arrangement view, I've already loaded up some white noise downlifters and uplifters, which I can use to kind of mask the transitions then in the arrangement. Then we have the vocal group, where I have just kind of one vocal channel, so that if I have some vocal samples, I can just quickly drag and drop them into place here, so that I can try out different ideas. So that's basically the sounds and the tools that I have in my project. Then I've already, of course, set up all my other routings. So I have some return channels here. I have different return channels with, for example, here we have a drum reverb, we have a short reverb, a long reverb, a huge reverb, just like 15 seconds or something for like more sound design or like FX sounds. With a stereo delay, ping pong delay, with an amp. For distortion, we have like here these yellow the channels are some kind of effects channels I'm using for creating effects, but I will probably show that in a different video in detail. But I've done all my routing here. The routing in this project is a little bit complicated, so I will not show it too much in detail now, because otherwise the video would get too long. Probably I will show it in a different video, but just to quickly show it, I've also a reference tracks group here where I've already loaded up created three different channels where I can load up just reference tracks. So I use some professional tracks from artists I really like, and so that I can compare it, for example, during mixing or mastering with my personal track, to see how it competes. Then I have a return channel here. This is just a channel where I'm just inputting all my return tracks. They are all routed to this returns channel, and then from the return channel it is routed to another channel. And this is just basically kind of a group for my return tracks. And here I have just a ghost sidechain, where I've loaded up here is a kind of just a trigger for sidechain compressors, and also I have here a sidechain which is a MIDI trigger for all the plugins which are triggered by MIDI and not by audio. For example, my sidechain here, Shaper Box, is, for example, is triggered by MIDI and not by audio. And you might ask, okay, why I need to trigger it sidechain with MIDI? Problem is with Ableton, then in some kind of scenarios where you do complex routings, it sometimes fucks up. I think it's the like kind of latency compensation, and then sometimes the sidechain is a little bit off and not really precise on the kick hit. And that's why I'm always triggering with MIDI, so that I have to make sure that the sidechain is triggered at like the right time. But yeah, it really depends. You have to try it out. Sometimes it really has some weird issues, and that's why I'm doing that. Then I've already loaded up my chains here with mastering chains, mixed chains. And here I have also my sidechain where I'm routing all my tracks into either this channel where I have no sidechain, and on the other channel I have all the other tracks here, the bass, synths, FX, and vocal sounds, which are then sidechained by one plugin, so that I don't have to do it on all the individual channels. Then I have just an automation rack where I have just volume automation throughout the arrangement. Like here, all of my mix and mastering processes, but that doesn't really matter right now. I think we have already seen the important stuff, and that's just to give you a basic overview how my template project looks like. And it's very easy to create a template project like this, and then when you want to like start a new track, you can just use the template and then go from there. And this really saves you a lot of time, because for example, we all know we have to create a like 4/4 kick pattern, we have to create a like offbeat hi-hat and some synth sounds, and I don't have to load it up all the time again. I've just my template in place, and for example, if I want to make a track, I just have to make some melodies now, because I have the very basic drum loops already set up. So I will just play with the different synths, play with bass sounds, play with lead sounds to come up with an idea. And once I have a kind of loop with all the elements I need, and the MIDI set up and the melodies are working, then I can just quickly prepare a 3 or 2 minutes arrangement where I can see how the tracks evolves over time and see if it works. And then if I have something which is nice, I will just save it to my ideas folder, and then the track idea is done. So yeah, I hope this was helpful to you, and you have gotten an idea how this could probably work for you as well. Of course, you have to create your own project. Probably you have already a kind of workflow, how you're using or how you group your tracks, how you process your groups, or your master or your mix or whatever. So you probably have an idea what you are going to do. But of course, you can also, for example, take an existing track you finished, and you say, okay, everything went really well in this track, so I will keep the structure, and I will just put in some like kind of default sounds, and then you can just go from there, and you don't have to create it from scratch. You can also use an existing project and then strip down, delete everything you don't need, remove all the MIDI and stuff, remove all the samples, and then just make a kind of like empty template. Yeah, and this is really helpful, so I can really recommend it to everyone. I hope it will help you too. See you in the next video. Thanks for staying with me. If you like my videos, make sure to like and subscribe, and see you in the next tutorial.